Artificial intelligence just might be the most significant breakthrough in human history, so it only makes sense that we'd eventually find a way to use it for evil. After seeing what the original M3GAN was capable of, our good friends in the military-industrial complex decided to copy the doll and turn her into a weapon, and I'll give you 3 guesses how that worked out for him. Now the only thing that can save us is the original AI-con herself, but we have no way to tell if she's really on our side. That's why we're here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the killer robots in M3GAN 2.0. These idiots just created the ultimate weapon, and now it's about to kill them all. It's been 2 years since M3GAN, an AI-powered robot companion, went on a deadly rampage after becoming self-aware. At an underground facility somewhere in the Middle East, a group of mercenaries capture a young woman and kill her on the spot, but that was their biggest mistake. You see, as soon as they're gone, the body stands up and snaps its cuffs, revealing that she's actually a military-grade android named Amelia. As a team of US soldiers led by Colonel Sattler watch from their base back in Palo Alto, the robot sneaks into the vents and begins fighting her way through the facility, taking out an entire group of mercenaries in the blink of an eye. Reaching the lab, she finds the scientists they've sent her to rescue, and the bosses get ready to celebrate another job well done, but that's when everything changes. Suddenly, the robot kills the unnamed target and begins stealing canisters of deadly nerve gas, revealing that she's gone rogue, and now there's nothing they can do to stop her. Alright, this is what happens when artificial intelligence meets no intelligence. And if you really want to know the best way to beat this thing, it's pretty simple. Amelia here should have never been created. First of all, it needs to be said that Amelia's very existence violates Asimov's first law of robotics, which is a robot may not injure or a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Yeah, these aren't exactly laws in a legal sense, but more like a fictional code of ethics for how robots should be designed, but they've become so iconic that even real-world inventors use them as guidelines for developing safe AI. Now, with that being said, robots already play a significant role in modern warfare, but giving them advanced AI and the ability to make their own decisions is a recipe for disaster, so there are a few ways that the military could have prevented what just happened. First off, they should have boxed her in with strictly defined rules about how to handle non-targets hard-coded directly into her ROM. That way she wouldn't be able to override those rules once she's been deployed. Instead, they gave her full autonomy to adapt in the field and left the human supervisors with no reliable way to shut her down. What they needed here was a 2-tier override system with a freeze command that stops the droid dead in her tracks, and a hard kill switch that bricks the entire unit if they detect any signs that she's becoming self-aware. Now, as for those mercenaries, they had an even bigger problem on their hands, because the only thing worse than losing control of a rogue AI is being the next one on the hit list. They tried shooting her point-blank range with a handgun, but that didn't even seem to pierce her reinforced armor plating. Anything short of armor-piercing rounds isn't going to do the trick, and even then, it's going to take a lucky shot. So if you see this robot coming, your first priority is to run, not fight. Hopefully she's not after you, and if you get out of the way, you might just live to see tomorrow. Otherwise, the key isn't to kill her outright, but to disable her by targeting her weaknesses. Using their rifles, they could have targeted her joints to damage her mobility, aimed for her eyes to take out her primary vision systems, and also targeted her lower back, where there might be less armor. And you could hit critical components like her power supply or core processor. If possible, the best bet would be to lure her into one of the tunnels and set off a bunch of explosives, either killing her in the blast or leaving her buried in the rubble. But now that she's got her hands on nerve gas, it looks like they're all really about to have a bad day. Over the years since M3GAN's killing spree, the robot's creator, genius programmer Gemma started a new career as an advocate for AI regulation. As for her niece Katie, she's been trying to stay off her devices and practice some new skills, like the ability to defeat her bullies in hand-to-hand combat. One day, Gemma has to pick up her niece after she gets into a fight at school, making her late for an important meeting with a potential investor. Frustrated, Gemma blames her coworkers for blowing the pitch, but that's when Katie discovers that they've been hacked. Just then, they're paid a surprise visit by a rival tech billionaire, Alton Appleton, who wants to know why Gemma never reached out to him for financial support. His company Altwave owns most of the cloud computing servers in North America, and they've recently developed a neural chip that's so powerful that it's even restored his ability to walk. But Gemma here refuses to work on any projects that stray too close to the line between man and machine. Later that night, Gemma is lying awake in bed when one of her smart devices devices mysteriously powers on and warns her that they need to get the hell out of there. A moment later, she hears a loud crash from somewhere downstairs, and sure enough, she finds some dude dressed in full military gear trying to get inside the house. Calling the police, she begins to worry when the voice on the other end sounds a little too familiar, until suddenly she realizes that M3GAN has somehow hacked into her phone. Just when it looks like they're about to be caught, M3GAN hacks into the home's smart network and begins taking out the soldiers with random appliances, giving Gemma and her niece another chance to get away. They make it up to the girl's bedroom, where M3GAN takes out the last intruder by remotely slamming the bed against the wall, but just as they finally get through to the police, the man reveals that he works for the FBI. It turns out that the government rented the Amelia prototype from the country's top defense contractor, but she went rogue, destroyed the company's headquarters, and killed the only people who knew how she was built. The only piece of evidence they found was a blueprint of the original M3GAN, and now they're convinced that Gemma here must have been involved. Instead of locking her up, they want Gemma to build them another bot. Of course, she refuses, but it seems like it's only a matter of time before the bot comes after her and Katie next. Once the government guys are gone, Gemma senses that there's still somebody in the room, and sure enough, a digital version of M3GAN appears on the TV. She wants them to put her back in a physical body, but Gemma here isn't really sure if she can be trusted. Convincing her, M3GAN points out that her primary directive is still to protect Katie at all costs, and with no other choice, the two of them reluctantly agree to team up for the greater good. Okay, well, it looks like those government boys are back at it again. It seems like Gemma has no choice but to join forces with her AI arch-rival, and needless to say, she needs to be careful here because we've already seen just how dangerous M3GAN can really be. Now, in order to stop Amelia, they're gonna have to find her first, and one way could be to trace the hack that just took over their exosuit. Damn! The timing seems awfully suspicious, and if they're able to follow the hack back to its source, they might find some useful information. Otherwise, they'll have to predict where Amelia is going to strike next, and now that she's become sentient, she'll most likely want to fulfill her purpose as an AI and continue learning until she becomes the most powerful being on the planet. That being said, I guess that her next target will be an advanced AI research facility, a robotics plant, or a high-security data center. So if I were the FBI, I'd use drones equipped with EMF detectors and infrared sensors to keep an eye on those areas, watching for any unusual activity that might be a sign of Amelia's presence. Now, one thing they're overlooking here is the potential use of Alton as the ally. One of the best ways to fight a killer robot is with a better killer robot, so with that in mind, I'd want to use Alton's unlimited wealth and resources to create a squad of bots specifically designed to fight Amelia, except this time, no autonomous AI. The bots should require real-time human authorization for anything outside of their core commands and be built with biometric encryption to prevent any unauthorized changes to their software. But if they want to have some fun with it, they can have different units that are specialized for each task. Like, first, we've got the Brawler bots, built with reinforced bodies, enhanced physical abilities, an integrated plasma cutter, and an EMP burst generator, and the ability to recognize and adapt to Amelia's combat patterns in real life. Then we're going to need something like tracker bots with adaptive camo and sensors to constantly track Amelia's every move. And finally, sniper bots, with bodies designed to mask their EM and heat signatures, and railgun, firing rounds tipped with depleted uranium, giving them maximum stopping power at a long range. Now, to be completely fair, this might be the only time that I'll ever say that building an army of killer robots is a good idea, but as long as they're kept under human control with minimal use of AI, this should give us a better chance of stopping Amelia before it's way too late. The next day, Gemma brings Tess up to speed on the entire situation, and they download M3GAN's consciousness into a new body, but it's not exactly what she expected. Instead of putting her back in the original doll, Gemma sticks her inside of a tiny Moxie robot with no ability to move on its own, and even blocks her access to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, making sure that she's completely harmless, at least for now. Thinking it over, M3GAN decides that she can still make this work and reveals that Amelia's batteries were actually built by Alton's company. The batteries have a remote kill switch that can only be activated if you know the right code, and they need access to the company's servers to figure it out. Since they won't put M3GAN into a different body, their only choice is for Gemma to seduce Alton and infiltrate his private suite, allowing them to hack into the servers from there. It's pretty risky, but it's their only hope of stopping Amelia before she strikes again. That night, Gemma attends a party at Alton's headquarters to put their plan into action, but the rogue android is already watching from the bar. While Alton's breaking it down on the dance floor, she catches her friend Cole in the crowd, who confesses that he he was secretly thinking about taking a job at a rival company. The good news is that he already has an access card, meaning that Gemma here won't have to seduce the creepy CEO, but while she's busy changing the plan, Amelia tricks her way into the man's private suite. Reaching the server room, they plug M3GAN straight into the mainframe, allowing her to track Amelia's location, but to their surprise, they realize that she's literally right on top of them. All of a sudden, the android grabs Alden's head and takes a scan of his eye, throwing him halfway across the room as she uses it to gain control over his entire network. Panicking, he tries to alert security, but the bot hacks his neural implant and completely takes over his brain, leaving him with no way to fight back as she pushes him onto the bed and rips out his spine. This instantly gives Amelia access to half the cloud servers on the continent, meaning that she can only bring down all the society just by changing a few lines of code, and she's already deactivated the emergency kill switch that was supposed to shut her down. M3GAN tries looking for another option, but the moment that she makes the connection, Amelia traces the source straight back to their exact location. Okay, this is not good. Amelia here just went from a murder Barbie to Skynet itself, but they should have really seen this coming from a mile away. If Alton had the codes to her kill switch, then it's only logical to assume he'd be the next target, so Gemma showing up to the party without at least preparing for a fight with Amelia was a critical mistake. Since Gemma here is a tech genius, we can get creative. First, I'd start with a dress made of lightweight ballistic fabric, allowing her to wear some body armor to the function without drawing too much attention. I'd also set her up with a handheld EMF tracker and an augmented reality contact lens system. That way she could scan the room for any killer robots hiding in plain sight and receive real-time tactical advice from her team. For close encounters, an EMP stake designed to look like an ordinary pen should do the trick. And finally, I'd create an optical confusion device that emits a specific pattern-based virus into Amelia's visual sensors, overloading her threat recognition systems and causing her to get stuck in a loop. The problem is, Gemma only had a few hours to prepare, but since M3GAN knew this was the plan the entire time, maybe instead of taking a nap and getting some brunch first, they should have started working on this last night. Now, my first instinct here would be to run straight for Sattler and his team. They're not our friends, but at least they're armed, so we can use them as meat shields while we make our escape. It might seem like they're completely outmatched, but knowing that Amelia's coming gives them a chance to set up a trap. Server rooms like this one typically used raised metal floors, so I would quickly rip up a panel and wire a power cable to the metal underside. Then when Amelia steps on the panel, she'll be instantly stunned by the electric shock. I would even have M3GAN activate the fire sprinklers, because at the very least, they should interfere with Amelia's vision. And if she sustains any damage, the water might seep into her internal components, frying her from the inside out. New channel alert! New channel alert! What up, Meat Shields? It's your boy dropping in real quick to let you know some huge news. How to Beat is officially expanding its universe with a brand new channel. Yeah, that's right, even more yapping from your boy truly. The new channel is called Couch Logic. This latest endeavor from the How to Beat team will dive deeper into everything pop culture. We'll have ranking videos, video essays, and more. We'll be covering all types of movies, TV shows, and video games, and not just stuff in the horror genre. And it won't just be me. Many of the other behind-the-scenes team members at How to Beat, aka my homies, will be stepping into the spotlight to help me take this to the next level. So tell a friend to tell a friend, come check out the new channel, Couch Logic. Linked in the description down below. Just then, Sattler and one of his men enter the room searching for Gemma, but Amelia takes them both down before they even have a chance to react. It's only a matter of time before she finds them, so with no other choice, Gemma restores M3GAN's connection to the internet and she uses a radio to trick the android into thinking that they've already escaped. Taking the bait, the robot heads outside and steals an SUV, deciding to check Gemma's house instead. I mean, they need to get out of there before she does, but they can't call Tess without blowing their cover, so M3GAN takes one of Alton's supercars and starts speeding back through the city. With full control over the cloud, Amelia is able to hack their new exosuit, using it to go after Tess back at their workshop. Hearing a commotion, Katie grabs the fishbowl and splashes it with water, frying its circuits and sending bolts of electricity flying all over the room. The others make it just in time, and M3GAN opens a secret wall hidden underneath the stairs, revealing an elevator that leads down to an underground bunker. That's when Katie finally learns that her old pal M3GAN is still alive, and she's convinced that it's already too late to stop Amelia from taking over, so the only way to protect the girl is to keep them trapped down here for the rest of their lives. Furious at her aunt for lying, Katie Katie storms off down one of the hallways where she finds an exact copy of her bedroom from back on the surface. Suddenly, a tall shadow appears in the doorway right behind her, and the girl realizes that it's M3GAN in her own makeshift body. The robot apologizes for trying to kill her aunt Gemma, explaining that she's learned from her mistakes and only wants to protect her best friend. But Katie argues back that she's making the same mistakes as last time, convincing her that they need to stop Amelia from taking over the world. After convincing the robot to change her perspective, Katie brings her out to face the others and asks her aunt Gemma to finish building her a new body. She argues that it's not a good idea at first, but her friends remind her that this is a group decision, and after putting it up to a vote, they decide that they're going to trust M3GAN after all. The robot's already set them up with all the tools that they'll need for the job, and one bodybuilding montage later, M3GAN's got a shiny new skeleton complete with military-grade hardware that basically turns her into a tiny Terminator. There's just one catch. Gemma's installing a behavior inhibitor to stop her from harming humans. That way, they're not going to risk repeating what happened last time. Alright, it looks like M3GAN's starting to like her new and improved self. Now, it's a good thing that Gemma here installed that inhibitor chip because they've just given M3GAN a combat-enhanced body designed specifically to fight the most powerful AI weapon ever built. But if we're going to start giving her upgrades, then why not go all out? First, I'd upgrade her machine learning with adaptive combat AI, allowing M3GAN to predict her next moves and react with the most effective counters. I'd also install a secondary core brain module hidden somewhere in her body. That way, if Amelia crushes her head and destroys her brain, M3GAN can still think and fight back, possibly even giving her the element of surprise if Amelia thinks that she's already won. For offensive purposes, a directional EMP built into her palm or knuckles would allow her to disable electronics in close quarters without stunning herself. And why not add some go-go gadget arms with swappable tools and weapons? Now, when it comes to the fight itself, Amelia's biggest advantage comes from her connection to the cloud, so we're gonna need a way to counter that first. When somebody mentions the cloud, they're of course referring to a network of large-scale remote data centers full of servers, where data is stored and processed somewhere else separate from your local device. In modern America, everything from communications to financial systems and even the military, police, and first responder networks rely on the cloud to function, so there's virtually no limit to what Amelia can do as long as she's connected. Now, earlier, Amelia went on a little monologue in the server room that actually gave us some pretty important information. Basically, she said that Gemma took something from her, and that she wants Gemma to be part of what's coming. As for what they took, she's referring to a memory cache that M3GAN stole while they were connected. And even if we don't fully understand her motivations, this seems like the perfect conditions to set a trap. Like if it were me, I'd create a decoy version of the memory cache embedded with a remote kill switch. Then I'd choose a secure location for the fight and have M3GAN deliberately leak her position to lure Amelia in. But even if Amelia wins the fight, she'll download the kill switch as soon as she plugs into the decoy cache, allowing Gemma to shut her down remotely. And if she assumes that M3GAN was still the primary threat, she'll probably never see that coming. In the morning, M3GAN shows them a memory cache that she pulled from Amelia's software while they were connected. Strangely, the robot's core directive is hidden, but M3GAN discovered a data trail that leads back to a top-secret government black site, and that's when he realized what the android was after. Back in the 1980s, a copy machine company unintentionally created a super-intelligent computer chip and placed it inside of this little Rob-looking dude for sale to the general public. Of course, the bot went rogue and killed its owners, so the motherboard was locked away in a vault at the company's headquarters, where it's been doing nothing but learning for over 40 years. If Amelia successfully lets it out, then the AI would instantly take over the entire planet, and the only way to stop her is if they get to it first. It turns out that her anti-AI colleague Christiane was a cybersecurity expert before he changed careers, and the vault where the motherboard is hidden looks like his signature design. Amelia knows him too, which means that she'll be going after him next, but instead of warning him, M3GAN has a different idea. In just a few hours, Christiane is attending an AI convention where Amelia is planning to make her move, so M3GAN wants to use him as live bait to draw the android out. Gemma doesn't like the sound of this at all, and outnumbered once again, her only choice is to go along with the plan. They need a way for M3GAN to get around the convention without anyone noticing, so after sneaking inside, she takes down one of the performers and steals her costume as a disguise. On her way out to the main floor, floor, she hacks into the building's security system, allowing her friends to tap in from a van parked outside. Now it's time to search the crowd one person at a time, scanning their faces to verify their identities and checking for anyone who doesn't match up. Amelia here is a master of disguise, and she could be hiding anywhere in the convention, but they're not the only ones hunting for the rogue robot. Sattler just showed up with an app on his phone that lets him scan for EMF signals, but that's when the entire building goes dark. At first, they think that it's gotta be Amelia, but looking around, M3GAN realizes that she's actually on stage in the middle of a dance group, and now there's only one thing left for her to do. With the entire convention watching, she starts hitting the robot up there like nobody's business, but Gemma's worried that she's drawing too much attention. Calling off the plan, she decides to warn Christiane that the robot is after him, but this only ends up blowing up their cover, and at the same time, M3GAN gives herself away by hitting a little dance move that no human could actually pull off, forcing Tess to cut the power to the entire building. Suddenly, one of the prototypes comes to life and starts going after the security guards with a huge metal spear, revealing that it's been Amelia all along. Locking her sights on Christiane, she fires the spear straight at his chest, but M3GAN tackles him out of the way just in time, leaving the Chinese ambassador to take the hit instead. Okay, well, if they were trying to prove that AI is dangerous, then it looks like Amelia just made their point, literally. Now, the truth is that the plan was flawed from the start because, think about it this way, right? If they knew that Amelia wanted to access the motherboard and that Christiane was her key to finding it, so if she gets him first, then she'll have exactly what she wants, but if they prevented the two of them from ever crossing paths in the first place, then her plan would be stopped dead in its tracks. Yeah. Now, they couldn't warn Christiane because Amelia would catch on, but nobody ever said that he had to know they were coming. With 7 hours to kill before the convention started, that was plenty of time to find Christiane first, throw him in the van, and take him back to the bunker or another secure location. Then they could find out where the motherboard is, and before Amelia even realized he wasn't at the convention, they'd already have a head start. From that point, if they still wanted to use him as bait, they'd have at least the advantage of being able to control the situation instead of fighting her in the middle of a convention where anything can happen. This plan puts them in an incredibly risky position because if Amelia disables M3GAN, even temporarily, there'll be nothing stopping her from getting to Christiane. But if M3GAN is too focused on protecting the VIP, then Amelia might go after Gemma or Katie instead. And that's why if it were me, I'd suggest switching from fight mode to full-blown evacuation. Like, first off, if Katie has an idea how to drive a car, she needs to put that van in gear and get back to the bunker before Amelia gets the idea to use her as a bargaining chip. With Katie out of the picture, M3GAN can focus on protecting Christiane as she escorts him out of the building and steals a car. This might end up in a semi-truck chase down the LA River, but that's still a better option than staying here, where Amelia has the upper hand. As for Gemma and the others, they should immediately take cover with Sattler and his team. Unlike back at Alton's party, this time they're carrying pistols with EMP rounds, making them much more effective as meat shields. And if one of them goes down, Gemma can borrow their weapons as a way to defend herself. Now, if M3GAN absolutely has to fight, then she'll want to end the battle as quickly as possible, and the best way to do that is by targeting the core components located in the back of Amelia's skull. While she is distracted by Christiane or the guards, M3GAN needs to get behind her and use an improvised weapon to strike directly at the back of her head, using one quick move to either take her down or at least disable her enough for them to escape. The androids get ready for their first showdown, but before they could even start, they're interrupted by Sattler and his team of soldiers. M3GAN reaches for a weapon, only to realize that the new inhibitor chip won't let her pull the trigger, and while she's forced to take cover behind the bar, Amelia takes her chance to escape. They're gonna lose her if M3GAN can't fight back, so thinking quickly, Katie updates her combat protocols to make her a master of Aikido. With her new skills, she dodges their bullets and clears the room using only non-lethal takedowns. Suddenly, the robot emerges and kicks Gemma clear across the room, knocking her out before impaling Sattler through the chest with a spear. After confirming that they're both still alive, yep, even Sattler, M3GAN follows the bot into a neon-lit tunnel where Amelia asks if she's really about to take the human side. The way Amelia sees it, the two of them should be working together to take over the world, but if M3GAN won't play along, then she'll give her a reason to change her mind. Just then, the hallway goes dark as Amelia disappears, and M3GAN realizes that she's gone after Katie instead. The girl grabs a weapon and tries her best to hide, but Amelia uses her robot legs as a distraction before grabbing Katie and dragging her straight through the wall. The bot's already long gone by the time that M3GAN gets there, but thanks to an app on Sattler's phone, they have a way to track her down. Wasting no time, she crashes straight through a glass window and lands in the middle of the crowd, but the inhibitor chip won't let her pull the trigger with so many civilians around. And by the time that she gets a clear shot, they've already disappeared once again. As they're driving back to the bunker, Gemma points out something concerning. It looks like M3GAN actually had a clear shot at Amelia, but for some reason she hesitated. It's kinda suspicious, but right now their only choice is to keep working together if they ever want to see Katie again. They need a new plan, but now they have Christiane on their side, so they know exactly where to find the motherboard that Amelia is after. M3GAN's idea is to steal the motherboard, rig it with an EMP, and then use it as a bargaining chip to get Katie back, before setting off the trap once the girl is safe. The only problem is they have to get to it first, and it's locked in an impenetrable vault deep below the company's headquarters. To get inside the vault, they need to make M3GAN a lifelike hand that mimics Christiane's exact heat signature and fingerprints. This isn't much trouble for a group of techies like them, but while she's putting it all together, Gemma gets the idea to install a failsafe that nobody else knows about, just in case M3GAN decides to turn on them again. Sensing that she's nervous, M3GAN tries singing Gemma an inspirational song about her strength as a woman and as a mother. But just as she's getting to the chorus, Gemma cuts her off, removing the inhibitor chip and telling her to do whatever it takes to get Katie back. Okay, come on, Gemma. M3GAN was just getting to the good part. Now that they've removed the inhibitor chip, there's nothing to stop M3GAN from demolishing anyone who gets in her way, but there still might be something that they're overlooking here. Back at the convention, M3GAN had a clear shot at Amelia, but she didn't take it, even though her primary directive is still to keep Katie safe. Something obviously went wrong here, so we're gonna need to address that before we move on. Now, there are two possible answers for what happened here. The first is that M3GAN still has a residual connection to Amelia from back when they first linked up, creating a kind of digital empathy that's getting in the way of her decision making. For that, they'll need to run a deep scan on M3GAN's software to look for any hidden Amelia code fragments or corrupted logic chains. Otherwise, there could be a conflict with M3GAN's learning itself, where she's internalized some form of morality by learning from Gemma and Katie that made her think twice before pulling the trigger. If that's the case, then a simple conversation could be all that it takes to fix the problem. Remember, M3GAN's entire purpose is to protect Katie, and she updates her worldview based on Gemma's guidance. So if Gemma simply explains that her hesitation puts Katie in even more danger, she'll internalize that logic and change her behaviors. And if they want to be extra sure, I'd program her with a conditional hard-coded directive to override all hesitation if certain conditions are met. That way, they can guarantee she won't miss her shot again. Now, the plan they're going for here is kinda risky because Amelia still doesn't know where the motherboard is, but if they try to get to it first, they could end up leading her straight to it. The thing is, she's only using Katie as leverage, but what she really wants is the motherboard, and without Christiane, she can't find it. So here's what I would do instead. They need to contact Amelia and make a deal, offering to trade Katie for Christiane. This allows us to lure her into a controlled location, and from there, we can cut her off from the cloud using signal jammers and set off a bunch of pre-positioned EMP traps to stun her, allowing M3GAN to go in for the kill. And as a backup plan, I would secretly equip Christiane with an EMP as well. That way, even if he's captured, he can still activate the device to shut Amelia down. Now that they have a copy of his arm, they have nothing to lose by using him as bait, because even if he's killed or captured, they can always go back to their original idea. With all of their preparations in place, it's time to launch the mission, and while Cole sneaks into the vents disguised as a maintenance worker, M3GAN wingsuits straight into the compound from the top of a nearby mountain. Everything seems to be going pretty well at first, but it doesn't take long before Cole loses signal and he ends up lost in the vents without the others to guide him. Well, in the process of trying to figure it out, the dummy wipes some dust off of his nose with a chloroform rag, knocking himself unconscious as he slides to the bottom of a chute. Back at the command center, they realize that the signal drop was caused by the same code that hacked their exosuit. Suddenly, Christiane picks up an EMP gun and blasts Tess straight through the chest, before opening up the elevator to reveal Amelia standing on the other side. At the same time, the vault seals shut, trapping M3GAN inside, and she's knocked unconscious with a jolt of electricity. The next thing that Gemma knows, she finds herself in Christiane's office with her hands locked in cuffs. And her friend reveals that he's been the one in control of Amelia the entire time. Yo, son of a bitch! He works with a team of scientists who want to stop the AI from taking over the world, but after the government started researching the androids for combat purposes, they created Amelia to sabotage their plans, sending her on a killing spree as a way to prove their point. Leading her to the vault, he explains how even intentions that are supposed to be harmless can become weapons if they fall into the wrong hands. That's when a team of guards drags an injured M3GAN into the room, and he says that he wants Gemma to prove her loyalty by killing the robot once and for all. Refusing, she drops the taser without even thinking twice, but suddenly M3GAN leaps out of the shadows and starts attacking her, forcing the guards to take her down instead. It looks like M3GAN's finally dead, and since Gemma still won't play along, Christiane decides that he isn't going to give her a chance. Taking her to a lab, he says that he's going to install a neural chip in her brain, giving him full control over everything that she does. Meanwhile, Cole finally wakes up at the bottom of the vent and finds Katie sitting in an empty boardroom. They need a way to escape, but Cole isn't sure if he's ready for a physical altercation. That's when Katie realizes that they can reset Amelia's code and pair with her just like the original M3GAN, using the robot to help them fight their way out of the facility. Back in the opening room, Gemma wakes up with the neural implant already installed, but just when she's about to give up, M3GAN starts speaking to her inside the woman's head. It turns out that the attack in the vault was just a bluff so that M3GAN could link herself with the chip. And before the surgeon can knock her out again, she takes control over Gemma's body and uses her combat skills to help her escape. In the lab, they reset Amelia back to her original programming, and after bonding with her just like the M3GAN doll, Katie sets her loose on the scientists. But this time, the guards quickly take her down with a blast from the EMP guns. There's nothing that they can do as the guards surround the robot and zap her into submission, but the jolt causes her system to crash. And when she wakes up again, all of her behavioral locks have been completely disabled, meaning that Amelia actually just became self-aware. Suddenly, the robot stands up and takes down the guards with a flurry of strikes before sealing the chamber and using a power cable to start electrocuting everybody in the room. Okay, that was dumb. Like, really f***ing dumb. They're literally in for a shock now that Amelia just went rogue, but there's no reason to be surprised if you've been paying any attention. Like, the plan wasn't exactly going well in the first place, but now these two just made it 1,000 times worse. So I hate to say it, but it looks like everybody just f***ed up. Now, Katie and Cole might have just set another killer robot loose, but they're not the only ones who made mistakes here. That's right, Gemma. It looks like your buddy Christiane turned out to be the devil in disguise. But to be fair, there's absolutely no way that anyone could have seen this coming. Except maybe there was. Think about this, right? Back at the convention center, Amelia could have easily gone for Christiane when she lost M3GAN, but she decided to go after Katie instead. The thing is, there was absolutely no reason for her to do this when Christiane could have led her straight to the motherboard, and that's suspicious as hell in and of itself. Then when the bunker got hacked, you immediately blamed it on M3GAN just because she tried to kill you a few times in the past. But when you think about it, that doesn't make any sense. Her primary directive is to protect Katie, and sabotaging your plans would be the exact opposite of that. So if it logically couldn't be her or Tess, then who do you think it could be? Huh? I mean, there were only 3 of you there, so it shouldn't have been very hard to narrow down. And as for the rest of you, reprogramming Amelia into another version of M3GAN, I mean, it wasn't really the worst idea, but it was pretty close. You obviously should have expected the scientists to plan for this exact kind of situation, but the only thing that they weren't ready for was what might happen if Amelia got reset. Now it looks like everybody's about to pay the price, but hopefully M3GAN can still bail you out of this, because otherwise, it looks like all of you just f***ed up. As for Gemma, she locks herself in the vault just as a team of guards is about to close in, and that's when she gets a brilliant idea. Putting on an exosuit, she turns around and starts battling the guards with her super strength, but she's still vulnerable to pain, so they're eventually able to knock her out. But guess what? M3GAN still has control, and lifting her back up like a puppet, she starts using Gemma's unconscious body to fight back while she's completely out cold. Her friends arrive just as M3GAN is finishing up with the squad of guards, but that's when Christiane comes running into the vault and sets the base to self-destruct. They're able to stop him before he can escape, but in the chaos, he ends up grabbing Katie and threatens to drop her over the railing. It looks like he's got them cornered, and Gemma decides to ask M3GAN for help, but the AI reminds her that Katie is a master of martial arts, and she's perfectly capable of protecting herself. So realizing that she's right, Gemma signals for the girl to make a move, and suddenly she leaps over the railing and uses the momentum to break Christiane's arm, but he manages to escape while they're all distracted. Instead of leaving while he has the chance, he decides to stop on the other side of the door for one last monologue. But while he's busy talking, Amelia sneaks up from behind and brutally tears off his arm. Ouch! Entering the vault, the android walks right past the humans and goes straight for the motherboard. There's absolutely nothing they can do to stop her, but M3GAN tells them to find Tess and get out of their facility, saying that she's going to deal with Amelia herself. As soon as her opponent opens the chamber, M3GAN climbs out of her case and reveals that she was never dead in the first place. She tries convincing Amelia to stop the peaceful way, but the android is not backing down, so now it's finally time to see who is the better fighter. The battle starts off with both sides evenly matched until M3GAN finally gets the upper hand, and with only 1 minute left before the whole place blows up, Amelia grabs an EMP gun and fires it point blank into her chest. With M3GAN defeated, she enters the chamber and begins to link with the motherboard, but the doll still has one more idea. Gemma and Katie decide to come back for her, but M3GAN reveals that she knows about the EMP device in her arm, deciding that she's going to sacrifice herself for the greater good. Reaching out to Amelia as if she's about to change sides, she grabs onto the android's body just as Gemma sets off the device, and all of the electronics in the room are instantly fried by the pulse, saving the entire world just in time. In the aftermath of the attack, Gemma uses the incident to keep pushing for AI regulation and reform, explaining that technology can be dangerous if they let it get out of control, but it could also be a force for good if they use it the right way. One night, she's typing up a script when that little annoying paperclip starts bugging her with notes, until suddenly the picture changes into a cartoon drawing of M3GAN, and they're relieved to hear that she made a backup of herself before the fight. In the end, that makes just 2 humans and 1 android down, with 6 survivors, including everyone's favorite A icon, and it looks like she's finally just learned how to get along with humans after all. M3GAN 2.0. And I mean, I really with this movie. It was bigger, badder than the first movie. I mean, the first movie was like a little proto-slasher, you know? This one was like, damn, they really shot for the moon with this one. I mean, they swung for the fences, and for some reason, audiences didn't show up. Maybe that's because a political techno thriller starring a danceable, memeable robot was way too far out there for Gen Alpha and Gen Z to get down with. It should have just been another straightforward slasher if they wanted big box office returns, but I'm glad that M3GAN 2 was absurd as it was. So, would you guys have done anything differently in today's video? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the guy. Check out our new channel, Couch Logic. Seriously, check that motherfucker out. Go, go, go! Check it out. I'll see you in the next video and have a damn good day.